Welcome to Ghost Bites, the podcast that stirs up the history of hauntings one terrifying morsel at a time. I'm Mike.
And I'm your co-ghost, JT. Ready to add a little seasoning to these spooky stories. Did you hear that?
Hear what?
That little giggle came from right behind you.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. That's just my apartment settling.
Listen, apartments don't giggle. They creak, they groan, they may even sigh, but they don't giggle like a 3-year-old on a sugar rush.
Well, if that's not my apartment, then I guess I have an uninvited guest.
Great. I hope they like a good story because they're about to get one. Welcome to Ghost Bites.
We're traveling now to San Jose, California, to the heart of another iconic and unsettling mystery. Sarah Winchester, the heiress to the Winchester Repeating Arms fortune, was a woman of immense wealth and profound personal tragedy. She lost her infant daughter and, later, her husband, William Wirt Winchester. This backdrop of grief is the foundation for the most famous legend about the house she built.
It's a classic tale. A wealthy, guilt-ridden widow. Her husband's fortune was built on the Winchester repeating rifle. You know, the gun that won the West. Exactly. And a medium told her that she was haunted by the ghosts of everyone killed by that rifle, and she had to build a house to appease them. Which is a terrible business model for a ghost. Like, you get a job as a ghost, and the first thing you have to do is find a house? No. You have to find a house, and then you have to find some poor soul to build you a house for 38 years. It's like, I died, I'm a ghost, can I at least get an apartment that's already finished?
The legend is fueled by the house's truly bizarre architectural features. It's a labyrinth of oddities, from doors that open to a 2-story drop to staircases that lead directly into the ceiling. It's a literal maze of dead ends and confusing passages.
And you can't even tell me that that's not a cry for help? A door that opens to a 2-story drop? That is a passive-aggressive way of saying, you're not invited? I've been to houses that have a weird door, but this is the door of despair. It's a fun house, but the fun is watching people get lost and have to rethink every life decision that led them to that staircase that goes into a wall.
Here is where the story of Sarah Winchester becomes far more complex and perhaps more compelling than the legend itself. The claim that she was guilt-ridden about her fortune is not supported by any of her quotes or records. In fact, people who knew her, including her family and employees, insisted she was not superstitious. The story of Sansas and ghostly influences were simply not part of her life.
So you're telling me the truth is boring? It's just a lady who's sad and rich and likes building stuff? Say it ain't so, Joe. Listen, Sarah was also a brilliant musician, a philanthropist, a savvy businesswoman. She was basically Taylor Swift with a hammer. And a rifle.
And handguns and...
Yeah. The architectural oddities that fueled the legend are surprisingly mundane, but equally fascinating explanations. The strange, curving staircase with the tiny steps, often cited as a feature to confuse spirits, were actually designed to accommodate her severe rheumatoid arthritis.
And those famous doors of nowhere? Many of them were a direct result of the 1906 San Francisco earthquake, which destroyed an entire wing of the house. She had the rubble cleared, but did little else to rebuild, choosing instead to live in her other properties.
Now see, that's a genius move. The earthquake happens, a wing falls off, and she's just like, whatever, I have other houses. It's the most relatable part of the story in an I'm not cleaning that up kind of a way. There's also a more generous explanation for her decades-long building project. A master's thesis from 1951 suggests that Sarah, a well-documented philanthropist, simply continued building to keep her workers employed. And it's a sad human story, but some of the most compelling things are.
The greatest mystery of the Winchester Mystery House isn't in the walls. It's in the story itself. The house was a direct reflection of Sarah Winchester's personal life, a life of profound grief and physical pain, where she used her passion for architecture and her immense wealth to cope and help others. The true story, a tale of a brilliant woman dealing with loss and chronic illness, was completely eclipsed by a ghost story.
And the final chapter of this legend is one of pure commercial interest. After her death, the neglected and worthless house was purchased by investors for a pittance. And they were like, how do we make money off this pile of rubble? I know! Haha, ghosts! The new owner and later Harry Houdini coined the name Winchester Mystery House and fabricated the ghost story to make it a profitable tourist attraction. So the whole thing is just a monument to a woman who was sad. But the real story is that the tourist industry took a sad woman and turned her into a circus. And that is the real haunting. So, the story's over, lights are on, and I'm pretty sure I just saw a shadow move in my peripheral vision.
Don't worry, that's just our little guest saying goodbye. They probably moved on to the next house. Or maybe the next snack. Who knows?
Let's hope they didn't take any of your stuff.
Or a Winchester.
Bang!
Thanks for tuning into Ghost Bites. We'll be back when the candle is lit.
Ghost Bites is a production of Brew Crime Podcast. Intro music composed and produced by Jamie McDonald, also known as MD Boomsday, and found on Spotify as Chatterless. Logo design by JT. Sources can be found in the show notes. Thanks for coming on the spooky journey with me, Mike, and JT.